The following is a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys. The Siniard Law Show, answering your legal questions, featuring attorneys Tommy Siniard, Bart Siniard, and your host, Aaron Dacey. This is the Siniard Law Show.
Hello and welcome to the Siniard Law Show. Tonight we're talking about auto accidents. You can call 844-7000-LAW to leave us a voicemail with your question, or you can email us at questions@siniardlaw.com. Siniard Law is a father-son personal injury firm right here in the Tennessee Valley, focused on giving back to the community through legal education. Siniard Law has been recognized 4 consecutive years by best law firms in America. Now to our topic of the night, the do's and don'ts of auto accidents. Tommy Siniard and Harrison Lane, attorneys from the Siniard Law Firm, are here to give you details and answer your legal questions. And we want to talk about this before the crash happens, right? We want to be prepared.
And hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But things, it's good to be informed.
Yeah, ahead of time.
In the event something does happen.
And North Alabama, as everybody knows, is growing extremely rapidly. Summer vacation is in full swing, and traffic is heavier nowadays in the summer, right? So it's more likely something would happen.
And you know, we find in the summer that there are more impaired drivers because of vacations, time off equals alcohol or other substances, and so yeah, the accident rate really goes up in the summer months.
Well, we've got lots of great questions, and the great news is we have so many questions that we're going to be doing a 2-part episode on auto accidents, because it's such an important and very, very timely topic. So we're going to get to all of your questions, and you'll have plenty of opportunities to learn a lot. So if you have questions on vehicle accidents or any legal topic, just email us at questions@siniardlaw.com or call us at 844-7000-LAW, and your question may be featured on the Siniard Law Show. Now to our legal tip of the week. What steps should we take after an accident? So what are those steps that we need to do? An accident's just happened. What do we do, Harrison?
Well, you know, some of them seem ridiculous when you talk about them, because we constantly meet with people and we're talking about, did you take any photos? Was there any photographs taken at the scene? And we know that they went to the hospital in an ambulance. So they didn't take any pictures. But a big thing is preservation of any of your evidence, whether that is photos, whether somebody else took photos, where did it occur? Is there potentially any video footage or surveillance footage? A lot of people have Ring doorbells now. Sometimes that can come into play. But it's sort of keeping up with any and all evidence that helps quantify your version of events or things you want to keep up with, right, Tom?
Yeah, I tell people that evidence is like water in the sun. It gets splashed, it gets moved, it gets evaporated. And there's only a short period of time to collect and gather the evidence. And like Harrison said, we're not expecting somebody to get out of an ambulance and do that. But on the other hand, there are other people in and around the accident. And we find a lot more shop owners with cameras that face externally, Ring doorbells, as Harrison said. So getting someone involved, like a lawyer or law firm, helps you to preserve that evidence. What we do in cases that may involve speed is we stop the process of a wrecked vehicle being processed, and we gather the black box evidence from the car, and we have experts that do that, and it's amazing how that can turn a case around. What looks like might be liability for one party turns into liability for the other because of the speed, the reckless nature of the driving. So we're big about trying to preserve the black box evidence, and to do that, you necessarily have to get a lawyer.
Now, what about injuries? Is that something, I mean, obviously if you're carted away in an ambulance, you're going to be treated, but what if it's not that bad and you're like, I don't think anything bad happened? Should you still seek treatment anyway, just in case?
Well, I mean, we tell people all the time, and I'm sure Tommy would agree as well, that now's not the time to be proud. If you're injured, if you're hurt, you need to get medical treatment regardless of what the circumstances are. Make sure you're going to see somebody. It can be your primary care doctor, it could be a physical therapist, something. The opposite aspect of that is we need that information to try to pursue a claim, because your claim is going to be so heavily predicated on what your medical treatment is and what your medical bills are, that if you have none, we have nothing to present. We can't move forward. We might be able to resolve the claim, but we really need to know how injured are you, and most people don't know, right?
Right. So Harrison touched on this. There's, and I hate to make it generational, but the older you are, the less likely you are to go get treatment. The old timers are going to tough it out and take the buffering and say, oh, it'll get better. But if you delay in expressing where your pain is, then what the insurance companies do is say, oh, you weren't hurt, or you hurt yourself doing something else at home.
Unrelated
because
to the
you didn't go
crash.
to the doctor for 4 days. So to protect yourself, you almost have to be that guy that goes and gets checked out close in time to the accident.
Now, what happens if you go to the primary care doctor and they don't find anything, but then something pops up later? Are you still covered because you've already seen a medical professional?
Tommy, give her the legal answer.
Well, the legal answer is any gaps in treatment is not good generally, because the insurance company or the defense lawyer is going to say, well, apparently you were injured and you got treatment for 2 days, and then there's this 17-day gap.
Okay.
And why? Surely you did that somewhere else. Or, so delays are not, they create havoc for us. A lot of them are legitimate, like there are people who, Harrison and I have got a client now who started out with just what was diagnosed as a sprain of the lower back. As time went on, she had these symptoms that shooting pain down into her legs, which is hallmark for a ruptured vertebral disc. A lumbar disc. And sure enough, 3 weeks later, she's diagnosed with a ruptured L5S1 and has to have surgery. So sometimes the symptoms are not apparent early on.
Okay.
But another good reason to get in touch with an attorney early on in the process so that they can advise you of that. Most people, they think, oh, I feel better, so let me go home. And they go about their life. And now you're not talking about 17 days, you're talking about 3 months, 6 months. And they're like, well, I kind of had this aching pain the whole time, but never really thought anything of it. And it can end up being something as severe as a ruptured disc.
All right, well, this is great. So we talked about now what we should do. So next Sunday night, we're going to talk about what we should not do when we're on an accident scene.
That's a longer list.
That's a longer list. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to some of our viewer questions. We have an email from Brittany and Arab. She says, I was recently involved in a car accident on Highway 231 during heavy traffic, and the other driver did not have insurance. What are my options, and how does uninsured motorist coverage work?
Well, first of all, uninsured motorist coverage is something that you carry to help you get compensated if you have the misfortune of being hit by an uninsured or underinsured motorist. And whether you know it or not, unless you sign a written waiver, insurance companies are obligated to give you that coverage. So the other interesting thing about uninsured motorist coverage, if you live in a household where there's more than one car insured, then you can stack those coverages up to 3 times. Same applies if you're hit by a underinsured motorist, somebody that runs a red light and they have minimal insurance. The minimum's $25,000, which won't pay for a broken finger these days. Let's suppose your injury is much more significant than that. Then once you exhaust their coverage, then you can turn to your uninsured / underinsured coverage and recover up to 1, 2, 3 times the amount of your policy if you have that many people with a car in the driveway. So these are questions that are hard to navigate on your own. You know, we recommend that you get advice because you can really mess it up.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like you guys have mentioned, it doesn't cost anything to call up your firm.
I mean, we do consultations for free, whether you use us or not. And so it's crazy not to arm yourself with, I mean, this may happen, you hope it happens once in a lifetime. How does this work, you know? And we share that with people, whether we represent them or not.
Well, and that's what's great about this show, too, because people are getting it free and hopefully it kind of sinks in.
Right.
You know, every week I learn a lot, so I'm sure everybody does. Our next email comes from Chad in Athens. He says, I commute into Huntsville every day and I was rear-ended during rush hour traffic. I felt okay at first, but a few days later I started having pain. When should I seek medical treatment? And when should I call an attorney? So this falls right in with what we've been talking about.
Right. And, you know, that's what's very important is making sure that you take care of yourself and get the proper medical treatment. I mean, first of all, I don't think you could go wrong by contacting an attorney too early afterwards, so long as you're capable. But you're really going to want to go and make sure that you're receiving medical treatment and then following what the doctor's plan is. A lot of times what we end up seeing is people will go to their primary care doctor who recommends physical therapy. You go to physical therapy once or twice and think it's not helping and then you stop. That doesn't necessarily look good when we're attempting to resolve a claim, does it?
No. I mean, you need to go throughout the recommended protocol of the primary care physician or whoever it is, the emergency room physician. Lots of times we see people that strike out on their own and go to a chiropractor. And this is not to diminish the role of chiropractors, but it's better to see a medical doctor first because for reasons unknown to me, the insurance industry does not treat chiropractic care like they do medical care, even though some of the modalities are almost identical. So what we say is people pick their own chiropractor and again, chiropractic has its place in rehab, but the first visit should be to a medical doctor and let him, he may recommend a chiropractor over physical therapy. But my recommendation is start with a medical doctor, whether it be your family physician. And if you're referred to a specialist like an orthopedic, what scares people is like, we're referring you to an orthopedic surgeon. You go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, the orthopedic surgery places treat more and do more than surgery. They have all sorts of modalities of treatment. And so don't hesitate to follow up with a specialist.
And I think
really
Tommy
good
makes a
tips.
good point as well, is that there are now these orthopedic urgent cares in North Alabama. So, I mean, if you're in doubt, it's a walk-in clinic, but they're tied to orthopedic surgeons. They'll shoot you straight, but they'll certainly make sure that you are getting to where you need to be.
Right.
May save you some time too from the ER.
Right.
If you don't need
Right.
something like that. Okay, thank you so much, Tommy and Harrison. When the Siniard Law Show returns, we'll answer more viewer questions. Plus, we'll tell you how to sign up for the Siniard Law Firm's free monthly newsletter.
Did you know you can watch 48 News live on your TV whenever you want? Totally free, no subscriptions. Install and stream 48 Plus today. It's your news on your schedule. Search WAFF 48 and start streaming today.
Harrison Brothers brings together the best of North Alabama. Our curated selection of local art, fine crafts, and gourmet food are great gifts for everyone on your shopping list. We carry books by local authors, and our toys pique a child's imagination. At Harrison Brothers, your purchases support artists and artisans right here in the Tennessee Valley. Located on Huntsville's Courthouse Square since 1897, Harrison Brothers is more than a store. It's a tradition.
North Alabama's best attraction is not its mountains, or its rivers, or even its rockets. It's our people, honest, hardworking people, who make us proud to do what we do. When people in our communities are injured in an accident,
We help them fight insurance companies based in big cities far from here.
we are honored to help people get the compensation they deserve.
Siniard Law, nationally recognized, locally trusted.
Welcome back to the Siniard Law Show. If you would like to sign up for Siniard Law's newsletter, which provides free monthly legal tips, just scan the QR code or sign up at siniardlaw.com. Let's get to an email from Monica in Gunnersville. She says, I was injured in a wreck where the other driver was clearly at fault, but their insurance company is offering me a quick settlement. Should I accept it? Or is it worth negotiating for more compensation?
That's the modus operandi of insurance companies. You know, they want to get in, dangle some money in front of you, and get a release. So it's never wise to take the quick settlement because, first of all, most of the time, people have not even finished treating. So you don't even know what is yet to come. And if you settle the case for X dollars, now you can't ever reopen it because they require you to sign a written release releasing all their responsibility. So it's never a good idea to do a quick settlement. I mean, it'll be there. They'll never reduce that in a week, 2 weeks, a month, and get enough information to where what you know the case should be worth.
And if you're not sure, you got to seek advice from you guys and find out.
Absolutely.
And take some time.
Because I'm sure they can be intimidating. Y'all have talked about the insurance companies before being really careful because they're probably recording you. And they may not be on your side, right?
Oh, never on your side.
No.
Even your own insurance company.
And they may seem like they care. They
probably have
I'm
training
so sorry
in that,
this
right?
happened.
Yeah.
And, we want to make sure that we take care of you and that everything happens. And then they don't. They just simply don't, or they try to find ways to get out of it. A common thing that we see nowadays is especially if you don't talk to them, we're closing your claim. And people panic. They don't know what to do.
Wait a minute. What? Say that again.
If you don't talk to your insurance company or the other person's insurance company.
Okay, so this could be either your own or the opposed.
And the adjuster will reach out and say, because you haven't spoken with us or we can't contact you, we're closing your claim, which means nothing.
Right.
Because
it's a tactic.
They're trying to get you to wrap it up so they can pay less?
They're trained. They have a script they follow to minimize what they have to pay out. The way insurance companies make money is they charge this much in premiums, and so the less claims they pay out and the less dollars in those claims, the more the profit margin. So they are well trained to minimize what you're entitled to or minimize what you should be getting.
That's really interesting. So just because it's our insurance company doesn't mean that they necessarily have our own best interest at heart.
The opposing insurance company either.
Well, you might
it,
think that, but
giving a statement to either without counsel is dangerous because they kind of walk you out on a limb and saw it off.
Oh wow, my goodness. So have you ever noticed after somebody comes to you with a potential case, do you guys take over the communication with the insurance company, and do they back off from the people that they're trying to pressure?
Once you send a letter of representation, they back way off. And we tell our clients, leave the communicating to us. We'll tell you everything that happened, but it's just dangerous because it's like rookies playing professionals. Like grade school people playing pros, because they're trained and equipped to get you out on that limb.
Well, and a big issue too is people don't always realize what they say and how it can impact their case. So they speak to an adjuster, well, tell me how the wreck happened. I don't know. Well, that's red flag number one, because they're gonna go, well, our insured's not at fault. You don't even know how the wreck happened. And so that can create issues. And again, that's why it's so important to get in touch with an attorney at the forefront after you've been in a wreck to make sure that they're advising you, one, of your options, but two, how to handle and how to walk through the process.
Right.
All right, well, let's get to our next email. This one is from Tyler in Scottsboro. Tyler says, my car was totaled in an accident and I'm having trouble getting a fair value from the insurance company. How is the value of my vehicle determined, and what can I do if I disagree with their offer?
Sadly, it's not a great law in Alabama. I mean, property damage is pretty straightforward. However, you are entitled to the fair market value of your vehicle just prior to the wreck occurring. How is that determined? There's a lot of metrics. Some insurance companies will actually give you the report that they conducted as to what the value of the vehicle is. But again, it's important to get an attorney, because what happens is that they're not looking at this vehicle the same way that you are. So they see a F-150. They don't know, was it upgraded? Is it a sports package? Did you make any additional improvements to it to add to that value? And they don't know if you don't tell them, right, Tom?
Right. So the measure of damages for property damages in Alabama is the before and after value. The value of the vehicle immediately before the wreck and the value of the vehicle in its wrecked condition, okay? If the vehicle has to be repaired, then they'll never tell you this, but you're entitled to what's called loss of use damages because you don't have access to your vehicle. And they pay some paltry $25 to $35 a day, but you're entitled to that. And these days in body shops, there's this huge backlog. It could be you're without your car for 6 weeks, so it adds up. The other thing they won't tell you is once you've had a car and it's been wrecked and then repaired, it's not the same vehicle on the open market because now it's a once wrecked vehicle. So you're entitled to a third element of damage, which is called diminution of value. So let's suppose you do have this F-150 and it's wrecked and repaired. It will not go on the open market for what it would be if it was an unwrecked vehicle. And depending on the age of the vehicle and the condition, that could be up to $10,000, $15,000. The newer, the more. The better condition, the more. Of course, the older, less. Poorer condition, less. But most people just skip right over that if they don't get a lawyer involved and say, well, they fixed my car. Well, now you got a car that might be worth 90% of what it was before it was wrecked. The other interesting thing about property damage people don't realize is, let's suppose you're in a wreck and it's a drunk driver and you're not hurt. Your vehicle's wounded. You can get not only the value of the vehicle, the property damage, but you can get punitive damages because you've got a reckless drunk driver that damaged your property. And that can be even if you're not in the vehicle. Your car's parked on the side of the road and a drunk driver runs into it, or a distracted driver. Then you may be entitled to a whole lot more even though you're not injured.
Wow, but this is not something that we would know about, like you're saying.
No.
And people just kind of let it go. What if the car is totaled? What about that value?
Well, in the case of a total, they have to pay you basically the Blue Book value of the vehicle.
So I was going to say, does that ever come into play, like Kelly Blue Book
That's kind of the Bible.
Is that the standard?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the standard. There's a lot of different ones online now, Carfax, a few others, and they're all pretty similar, but Kelly Blue Book is the standard. And I think it brings up a good point too, as far as what to do before you're in a wreck, right? Is you got to know what your policy is and what your coverage is, because what can end up happening is you're in a wreck, right? You contact the other person's insurance company and now you're waiting for a response. But you have collision coverage on your policy, which states that they will cover your vehicle through your own insurance company. And what you want to do is kind of cat and mouse back and forth it, because you can end up receiving a better offer from your insurance company for the value of your vehicle as opposed to another person's insurance company.
And they get to it quicker because the at-fault party intentionally drags their feet hoping that your carrier will pay it. Your own carrier, the claim's against your own carrier, you have to pay the deductible. You don't if it's against opposing parties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, could you go over that again?
So the crossroads are you're in a wreck and your car's damaged. We're not talking about injury here. We're talking about car damage. So you can make a claim against your own collision coverage, and people say, well, I don't want to do that because it wasn't my fault. Well, they can't assess that fault against you to increase your premium or to cancel you. So a lot of times it's faster. And sometimes, as Harrison said, they offer more money, your own carrier, than would the heel dragging opposing side. And so even though it's subject to a deductible, it might be good just to go ahead and get your car fixed and get back on the road so you can get to work or do whatever. And we measure that from years of experience and knowing which insurance companies drag their feet and which carriers pay maybe more and how long it takes. And so those are some things that people that do what we do get an insight because of the number of times it occurs.
What are the questions that we need to ask? You guys have talked about a lot lately, the uninsured or underinsured. What are the questions we need to ask when we call our insurance company to make sure that we have what we need?
My recommendation would be, what we see often, or probably more often than not, is somebody calls and goes, do I have full coverage? And somebody on the phone says yes, end of conversation. They think they have full coverage, and they don't. They have no collision coverage, no comprehensive coverage, no underinsured motorist coverage, no medical payments. They have $25,000 in liability only. You got to request your declarations page. You got to see what is afforded to you through your insurance, and most people don't do that. I mean, now I think it's as simple as pulling up the app on your phone and you can access it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, very good. It's such a wide-ranging topic, which is why we're not going to leave it here. Next week, we're going to have more of your questions. We had a lot of questions, and we just didn't get to them, so we're going to do that next week. We appreciate you, Tommy Siniard and Harrison Lane from Siniard Law, for all of this information about car accidents. And we look forward to hearing from you, our viewers, with your questions about car accidents, wrongful death, nursing home issues, or any legal topic. You can email us at questions@siniardlaw.com or call our voicemail line at 844-7000-LAW. Join us next Sunday night after the late news. Good night.
The preceding was a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys.